Sri Aurobindo. Good morning, welcome. This spiritual session will be a significant session today because we are going to have a short discussion on divine pilgrimage. This topic will be centered around Sri Aurobindo's upward journey, spiritual journey. The things will be quoted almost from the lines of Sri Aurobindo's philosophical Savitri. So Sri Aurobindo's philosophy, on this philosophy, from the diamond lights of Savitri, we will discuss today on divine pilgrimage, a journey, upward spiritual journey of the Lord. In the first lines here in the quotes here, his soul retired from all that he had done. The soul retired from all that he had done. Host was the futile din of human toil. Human toil, futile din, everything was host. Host was the futile din of human toil. Forsaken wheeled the circle of the days. Circle of the days wheeled forsaken. It's in distance sang the crowded tramp of life. Crowded tramp of life was in distance. So, from this clumsiness, from these crowds, from these shoutings, everything came into a hush. His soul retires. The silence, the silence capitalist, the silence was his sole companion left, because from the crowds, from the entire shouts, cryings, and these troubles, class and strife, every puzzle, his silence was the silence was his sole companion left. He came out, and the only companion for him was the eternal silence, the silence. Impassive, he lived immune from earthly hopes. Earthly hopes, there are big hopes, and of course, earthly hopes, all in vain, for material and nothing spiritual in it. Almost nothing spiritual in it. Almost it is hopes. Almost earthly hopes are filled with material demands, material cravings. So impassive, he lived immune from earthly limbs in that tremendous silence which was the sole companion left for him. A figure in the ineffable witness shrine, pacing the vast cathedral of his thoughts under its arches, dim with infinity and heavenward brooding of invisible things. So, being confined to the silence of the world, which was his whole soul companion. Impassive, he lived immune from the earthly hopes, now heavenward brooding of the invisible thing wings. It was in the beginning, it started inspiring him, so it's a journey just about to start. Then there must be, when there is a journey, there is a chance of pilgrimage, there is a chance of moving forward, wheeling upwards. So there must be a call. Sri Aurobindo quotes about the call. A call was on him from intangible heights. From the heights, definitely the call is coming, but it is intangible. A call was on him from intangible heights, indifferent to the little outpost mind. Little outpost mind. It is always it lives with regions and only thoughts, human thoughts, the limited thoughts. But this call was indifferent to the little outpost mind. He dwelt in the wideness of the eternal's reign. So indifferent to this outpost mind, a call came from the intangible height. So therefore, in that occasion, in that situation, he dwelt in the wideness of the eternal's reign. Eternal's reign, that is the wideness of the eternal's reign. His being now exceeded thinkable space. Space that is thinkable, but capital S is used for space here. But thinkable space which entire intellect can think, or the entirety can be able to think. His being now exceeded that link, that level, that limit, the thinkable space. His boundless thought was never to cosmic thought. His thought before thought is actually is the boundless thought, was never to the cosmic sight. Cosmic sights never was his boundless thought. So he has left behind the limitations of the human figure, the boundless of this earthly embodiment of these limitations he has crossed. Then what is his preparation? How his organs are, all his body organs, how it is prepared. A universal light was in his eyes. In his eyes, it was reflected the universal light. The golden influx flowed through heart and brain. So there is a change in his entire being. There is the body structure. It is getting illumined. So how it is? I will quote it again. The universal light was in his eyes. A golden influx flowed through heart and brain. A force came down from his into his mortal limbs. A current from eternal seas of bliss. He felt the invasion and the nameless joy. Just imagine. We are living confined to some joy that is a surface joy. But here the conditions to get the real joy is like this. Nameless joy, rather, it has been quoted. The joy, nameless joy, yet to be named, unknown, unseen, that is the joy. Condition of getting the nameless joy is like this. Universal light was in eyes. Golden influx flowed through heart and brain. A force came down into his mortal limbs. A current from eternal seas of bliss. He felt the invasion and a nameless joy. Just imagine, everything is coming from the top and everything is fulfilling, everything is filling his entire cells and tissues, nerves and brain, eyes, everything. So a nameless joy he felt, an invasion and a nameless joy. But thing is that he is well aware of, because he is conscious, he has been, that soul is released, he is well aware of his occult omnipotent source. He is aware, occult omnipotent source, that is omnipotent and occult, allured by the omniscient ecstasy. The alluring, the call, the allureness is coming, alluring is coming by the omniscient ecstasy, a living center of the illimitable, widened to equate with the world's circumference. Just imagine how it is. He turned to his immense spiritual fate. Now itself we are confined to this material fate. What is destiny? We are confined, we are crying, we are beating our heads, we are actually in anguish. But thing is that immense spiritual fate, our fate is limited, it is material, it is bounded. But thing is that immense spiritual fate he turned to. So when this call is coming, he is aware of his occult omnipotent source, allured by the omniscient ecstasy, a living center of the illimitable. This greatness, this boundless, this illimitability is coming, widened to equate with the world circumference. Just imagine our shape and how, with respect to ourselves, the widened universe is so vast. But thing is that here he is tried to widen to equate with the world's circumference. He turned to his immense spiritual fate. Our fate is not confined to a common human limits, or our house, or our relatives, our friends, and where in the city or some area or arena village where we are staying. But he turned to his immense spiritual fate. Abandoned on a canvas of torn air, a picture lost in fur and fading skies. The earth nature summit sank below his feet. Just imagine, when he is trying to widen up to the earthly, the wide world's circumference, the earth nature summit sank below his feet. So he is the Lord of the hour. He is moving up. So world nature summit sank below his feet. He climbed to meet the infinity more above. Infinity is more above, above and above. And already we have seen he has touched a long height. In the initially we have seen he stood on a height which looked towards greater heights. So this soul is released. He is on the height, and on a big height he is standing. From there itself he climbed to meet the infinity more above. The immobile ocean silence saw him pass. What is seeing? No human eye, no human ear can be able to know or hear him. So the immobile ocean silence saw him pass, an arrow leaping through eternity. Just imagine how he is, what about his divine pilgrimage, how about his journey. An arrow leaping through eternity, suddenly shot from the tense bow of time. As the arrow, it is has been lived short, short from the arrow of time. So he is like an arrow leaping through eternity, not through this original time from the confined time or ephemeral time, what we'll see. So through eternity, suddenly shot from the tense bow of time, this like a arrow, it is leaping forward, leaping upward. Opponent of the glory of escape, the black inconscient song its dragon tail, lashing a slumberous infinite by its force into the deep obscurities of thorn. So she is moving forward, he is moving upward. So when he is looking forward, he is living forward. What about the grasp of death? What is the bondage of death? How the death works there? Sri Aurobindo quotes here. Death lay beneath him like a gate of sleep. Initially, already we have seen it. How the earth nature summit sank below his feet again. Sri Aurobindo speaks of death lay beneath him like a gate of sleep. It actually bowed his head. One pointed to the immaculate delight, questing for God as for a splendid prey. Just imagine, we are praying for our food or any animal. We are praying, but he about this Lord, about his adventure, about his journey, about his pilgrimage here in the course. Death lay beneath him like a gate of sleep. One pointed to the immaculate delight. Initially it was joy, now itself he is quoting it is delight. Immaculate delight, questing for God as for a splendid prey. Not the ordinary thing he is going to quest to hunt for, but for God as for a splendid prey. He mounted burning like a cone of fire. To a few is given that God-like rarely release. Just imagine the Lord how is, or originally who the Lord is whom we are adoring. He mounted burning like a cone of fire. To a few is given that God-like rare release. One among many thousands never touched, engrossed in the external worlds of design. So rare release. One among thousands or lakhs, they have not been given that privilege of this eternal release. So that real release is there. He got it. He accepted him. Then that pilgrimage starts. He is a pilgrim now. Sri Aurobindo quotes here about this topic we are going to discuss, divine pilgrimage. A pilgrim of the everlasting truth, our measures can't hold his measureless mind. We have confined measures, but his is the measureless mind, we can't measure it. He has turned from the voices of narrow realms and left the little lane of human time. Little lane of human time he has already left, he has crossed. So our measure mind can't be able to measure the measures of his measureless mind, confines of his outbursts of his measureless mind. He treads the vestibules of the unseen or listens following the bodiless guide to a lonely cry in boundless vacancy. He is listening the cry, the lonely cry of the in boundless vacancy, because nobody is there to speak or to say. He is alone, a great companion, a communion. In his alone, nobody is no one, none is thy companion in that light. So he is moving ahead. He lives in the house before the world was born. He was here, he is here, he will be here, eternal spirit. He lives in the house before the world was born. His soul left naked to the timeless one. Far from a compulsion of created thing, thought and shadowy idols disappear. The moods of form and person are undone. So there nothing works. He is crossing the limit. He is going, he is now free. He is illimitable. He is intangible. He is going ahead with the mission. He is moving up. Then Sri Aurobindo quotes about his journey, about the pilgrimage. His journey to meet the incommunicable. His journeys where? His journeys to meet the incommunicable, not to any mortal material god or anywhere in the Lord of time. Hearing the echo of his single steps, nobody is there, he is alone. In the eternal courts of solitude, no sound is there. A nameless marble fills his motionless hour. His spirit mingles with the eternity's heart and bears the silence of the infinite.